Hello, writers. This month, I want to talk to you about the power of storytelling. For me, I am so passionate about storytelling because I believe that it is one of the most valuable tools we have for redemption in modern culture. We know that money makes the world go round, but I believe story makes us human. Story is the imago Dei in us, and the ability to make meaning out of chaos, to craft beauty in the midst of ugliness, to reach out and connect with others around us through narratives, I believe is the fingerprint of God in our lives. But that's just my theology of creativity. If we want further proof that storytelling holds power deeply linked to our humanity, we only have to look at the science of the brain. Neurologists have found 4 ways in which storytelling affects our brain. And these effects give us just a glimpse into why storytelling, if used carefully and thoughtfully, can be one of the most valuable currencies we have in our ministry. So how does storytelling affect the brain? Well, I've got 4 things for you, and I've also attached a handout for you that you can fill out and keep close to you as you do your writing. The first is neural coupling. A story activates the part in the brain that allows the listener to turn the story into their own ideas and the experiences into their own experiences. And this, I think, is just incredible. So if you think about as you're listening and watching a story, listening to or watching a story, those experiences that you are reading, if they are told well, they're not just experienced from you as an outsider, you begin to internalize them. The ideas of the writer and the storyteller become your ideas, and you own them in a new way. You experience them in a new way. The second thing that happens is what they call mirroring. And this means that as we are watching or reading a story, our brains begin to function in the same way and fire in the same way as other people who are also reading the same story or watching the same story. Not only are our brains syncing up with other readers and viewers, they're syncing up with the storyteller's brain. And again, this just blows my mind. Each of us is unique. We're our own person. We have our own things going on from day to day. And yet, in the moment that we are experiencing story, our brains line up and begin to fire and function in the same way. Talk about connection at a deeper level and community at a deeper level. We're experiencing things in the same way as one another. The third thing is that a well-told story releases dopamine in our brain, which flushes our system and allows us to remember and recall the details of a story with greater specificity and greater accuracy. So I don't know if you all have read stories that have sort of like glanced past you and you're like, I don't really remember what that was about, or you had like a textbook you read or a speech you heard and you're like, I don't really remember what their points were. The power of storytelling, a well-told story, is that our brains latch onto the details because of dopamine and allow us to remember it with greater clarity. That's a pretty powerful tool we have as storytellers if you think about the messages you want your readers to understand and remember. The fourth thing is greater levels of cortex activity. So when we are processing facts, we only really use 2 parts of the brain. But when we are experiencing narrative and through storytelling, all parts of our brain light up. We start activating the motor cortex, the sensory cortex, the frontal cortex. Suddenly our brains are lighting up and opening up to the storyteller and their message and their experience in new ways. And our whole selves are being involved to a greater capacity. So I hope you can see through this that storytelling is powerful, not just on an emotional level, definitely on a physical level, but I think also for us on a spiritual level. The fact that our brains light up when we hear good stories is not an accident. I think that God has created us this way because storytelling and connecting through story and narrative, I believe, is an essential part of the Trinity and creation and a part of our natures as created beings reflecting our Creator God. So that's a pretty huge thing to carry with us, but part of why I am so passionate about writing and storytelling. But I think if you will think back to all of these points I've told you, there's one caveat that has consistently appeared, and that is not just any storytelling connects our brains in these 4 ways, but good storytelling connects our brains in these ways. And so the question then becomes, how do we tell good stories? And this is also why I am so passionate about these workshops that we're offering to you all as Ainsley writers. Why Wesleyan Women and Ainsley is coming together to give you this opportunity to learn how to tell great stories. I have a fly in my house. So in these workshops that we're offering in August, September, and October, we're going to be covering some basic tools that will help amplify your storytelling. The first is how to balance scene and exposition. The second is how to use specificity and detail. And just another interesting insight into the neurological power of storytelling. Specificity and detail speaks the language of our limbic system, which is one of the oldest parts of our brains, and the part of the brain that controls our motivations, our behaviors, and our emotional life. We're also going to learn about how to avoid cliches and how to render a real person on the page. So these are some basic tools that I have pulled together that I think will elevate anyone's storytelling across the board. We want you to have the very sharpest tools in your belt as you are sitting down to share the insights that God has given you. This isn't just about me wanting you to be good writers. This is about me wanting you to be able to build your platform and be able to share really what is on your heart that God has placed there for those who are around you. And I've had the privilege now, after working with you all for the last 3 months, of meeting and interacting with some of you, and you have such amazing hearts for ministry. And I know God has anointed you with not just stories, but stories that link into a larger message that He has for those around you. So I want you to be able to tell your story well, and to be able to really access the hearts, the emotions, the lives, the minds, and the souls and the spirits of the people that are around you. So if you have not yet signed up for a workshop, please do. They are 4 weeks long. The first one is August 15th. That one's almost full. We have a couple more spots for that one. The next one is September 19th. And the third one is October 24th. If you're worried about time, they take about 5 to 6 hours a week. However, those 5 to 6 hours can fit in wherever you want in your schedule. There's nothing about the online workshops that's live where we all have to sync in together. You can work on it in the morning, in the evening, or all in one go on the weekends. It is up to you. If you're worried about money, the Wesleyan Women is scholarshiping each Ainsley writer to take the workshops. They're usually $140, but because of the scholarships, they're only going to be $50 for you. So please email me and let me know which one you would like to take, August 15th, September 19th, or October 24th. I will send you the link with the syllabi so you can see what we're covering, as well as the invoice and the information for joining the groups and the Google Drive. All right, if you all have any questions, let me know, and I will see you all over at Ainsley.